of trucks that have all got it set on desperation mode right now.
And I'd be surprised if he's not a factor before the day is over, Mike.
Forget about patience. They've been rooting and gouging since they dropped the green flag.
Hot and heavy and getting physical.
Welcome to Memphis Motorsports Park. It is a hot one here, but we expect that when you go short track racing with the Truck Series. Welcome to the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series, MemphisTravel.com 200, presented on speed by Valvoline. Hello, everyone. We've touched on a few of the subjects that are going to be in the foremost point of everyone's mind when we get ready to start this race. Things like the tire transfer rule. The heat is here. Obviously, our front row with Ron Hornaday and Terry Cook. Now, I want to bring in the guys who are going to have to be hoofing it down on pit road and working extremely hard in this extreme heat today. It's Adam Alexander and Ray Dunlap. What are some of the other stories that we need to know prior to the start of this race? Adam?
Rick, Taylor Malsom is having an outstanding Rookie of the Year. In fact, he leads Rookie of the Year points. But some adversity coming today. Prior to his qualifying run, the team discovered a broken front master cylinder, an issue with the brakes. They made the change after qualifying, but that change means he has to drop to the tail of the field for the race, already creating adversity for this youngster as he makes his Memphis debut. We'll see how he handles it as we continue throughout the afternoon. Ray?
Well, Adam, through the night we'll be telling you a lot of the things that the crew members are trying to do to stay cool down here. But what we also had to do this weekend was beat the rumor mill. The internet reports this weekend said that the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series was going to go away next year. There would be no more truck racing. Well, guess what? NASCAR has addressed that quickly and said, look, we love this series. We're behind it. We're going to support it. There's long-term contracts for the TV. We got a lot coming your way, so don't listen to the things that you saw on the internet. Truck Series is here to stay.
We see the umbrellas, and, well, last week that meant that the torrential rains were coming. But today it's to try to keep the sun off the tops of everyone's head. It is going to be a warm one here in Memphis. We want to kick things off with our pre-race ceremonies. Let's go trackside for today's invocation and national anthem.
Ladies and gentlemen, we ask that you would to please stand and join us as Ryan Johnston, the Associate Pastor of Faith Baptist Church of Bartlett, delivers our invocation.
Will you bow with me? Father, we thank you so much for allowing us to be here today. And Lord, we pray that you would be with us in all that we do here in this place today. Lord, and we pray for the drivers. God, that your hand of grace would be with them. Lord, that you would be with the pit crews. And God, you would provide safety on this track today. Lord, we pray for those that are fighting overseas for us. Lord, we pray that you would give them safety and protection today. And God, we pray that you would bless America. And we ask this all in the name of Jesus. Amen.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our national anthem performed today by Nashville recording artist King Billy.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, oh, the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave? Oh, the land of the free and the
Memphis, Tennessee, the home of the Blues and the birthplace of rock and roll. The Elvis Trophy goes to the winner here at Motorsports Park. Who will get it? The NASCAR Camping World Truck Series on Speed is presented to you by Valvoline, the only motor oil that guarantees your engine for up to 300,000 miles. Register at Valvoline.com. Brought to you in part by CampingWorld.com. Visit Camping World and shop our huge selection of RV and outdoor products. And by Chrysler. We're building a new car company. Come see what we've built for you. Welcome back to Memphis Motorsports Park. The trucks are all in line on pit road. We're going to be firing the engines here shortly. But first, let's go back to Chris Devoto, who's down on pit road or next to pit road for our Valvoline recap.
That's right, Rick, getting you caught up on our big stories today here at Memphis. If you missed the setup, well, number one, what were you thinking? But we're going to go ahead and get you caught up. The heat is the big story. In fact, I think you guys up in the booth maybe had an over-under on whether I would pass out during the setup. I am still standing, I want you to know, but the heat is brutal. These teams have been working in it all day long. About 133 degrees, that's the latest track temperature. Who is on the front row? No surprise, Ron Hornaday is our pole sitter. He is the defending winner of this race. He is also the points leader. He won a Sun Studios guitar for claiming the pole. He is going for an Elvis Trophy if he is the race winner. And our third big story, NASCAR trying to save these Truck Series teams some money. They have implemented a tire transfer program. Teams can take one set or 4 tires from one track to another if those tracks use the same combination. Memphis is the same combination tire-wise as Milwaukee, so some of these teams already saving money with a set of tires. So Rick, as I said, the heat is brutal. Ray and Adam have got such a tough job, as do all of our camera guys, all of the crews working outside in this heat. My hat is off, actually. My sweat.
Literally, your hat is off.
Is off. Did you see it? I flicked sweat right into the camera just for you.
Well, thanks, Chris, though. I mean, not thanks for flicking the sweat, but thanks for getting us on the Valvoline recap caught back up again. Phil Parsons, Rick Allen with you. Now, we talked about at Lowe's a summer stretch. We're pretty much at the end of that summer stretch now.
We are. This is the 6th of 6 races in a row. We knew that whoever was going to emerge as championship contenders, they were going to do it now. Well, we knew Ron Hornaday was going to be strong, but he can't get away. There's 4 trucks right now within 90 points of this point lead. It's going to be a great battle all the way through.
We've got a great battle. Ron Hornaday starts on the pole. Let's get the engines fired up. Let's go down for the command.
Longest redneck, Steve McGranahan.
Drivers, start your engines!
I'm almost speechless. Did you see the world's strongest redneck bend the bar of metal over his head as he gave the command of first in NASCAR? Welcome back to Memphis Motorsports Park. We talk about the heat. It is sweltering. 98 degrees is what the ambient temperature is. They say down on the track it feels like 109 degrees. And the forecast is for partly cloudy skies. There are a few clouds in the area, but right now they haven't stopped the sun from beating down on this racetrack. I want to take a look at our starting grid. It will roll across the bottom of your screen.
And that's
Ron
the front
Hornaday
row right there.
Yep, Ron Hornaday will grab another pole, his 22nd career pole in his career. That obviously is very impressive, but still 3rd on the all-time list. Let's take a look now at our Z-Max track description of this short track.
Yeah, great 3/4 mile short track. You see the corners are banked at 11 degrees. Always turning here. These guys never get any rest. They've got a little bit of a straightaway and a backstretch, but you're always thinking about setting up for the entrance to turn number 3. No rest at this racetrack.
And with the heat beating down and cooking these drivers, it's going to be difficult. Now let's take a look at our Valvoline race analysis. 36 trucks will start 150 miles or 200 laps. The purse just over $500,000.
As you can see, our pit window about 110 to 120 laps for fuel. Tires are pretty good here. We haven't seen a lot of wear. We heard Tom Bodine tell us in the setup show they had 85 laps on his tires in practice. Tires shouldn't be an issue, but you like fresh ones.
Well, we want to shine a spotlight on a few different drivers today. We're going to start off with that number 90 driven by Brent Sherman, right?
Well, interesting lineup of drivers coming our way in this number 90 in upcoming races, but Brent Sherman has raced in just about every division except for Camping World Trucks. Tonight is his debut. He has a former win in the ARCA REMAX Series at Michigan, but he said, boy, these trucks sure are different. It's a learning experience. He loves short track racing, though, looking for a good night tonight in the Great Clips Toyota. Adam?
And he's not the only driver in the field making his Truck Series debut. Hal Martin starts 26th this afternoon. He is a late model champion, and he drives today for Andy Hillenberg. He owns this truck and also drives for Andy as an instructor at his driver's school. He was 11th last week in ARCA competition at Mansfield. He's going to do a few more ARCA races in 2009 and hopes a good run today in the Truck Series will mean a few more opportunities behind the wheel of the 48 in 09 as well. Phil?
Adam, we have yet another driver making his first ever Camping World Truck Series start, the 07 of Jason Young. Yes, this is the same 07 that Chad McCumpy has run all year. SNI Greenlight Racing decided to give Jason an opportunity. Jason is 26 years old from Houston, Texas. He won a big late model race in Alabama just a few weeks ago. Looking to maybe move into this Truck Series. Right now, the only race he has scheduled with SNS Greenlight Racing, but really would love to run this whole race, get all the laps in, get some experience.
We've got a lot of cameras around the racetrack. We also have 5 in trucks, one of those being on board with Mike Skinner in his Toyota onboard. He will start 3rd. Our Valvoline Ford onboard of Colin Brown, he will start 5th. And the 30 of Todd Bodine with the Copart onboard starting in the 12th spot. Also carrying a Copart camera is Ron Hornaday, who will start from the pole position. And carrying our 5th and final camera, the Toyota onboard of Stacy Compton, starting in the 6th position. Let's head back trackside to a very warm Ray Dunlap.
Well, Rick, I'm going to go way out on a limb and say I think Ron Hornaday is going to be pretty good tonight here at Memphis. Yeah, I'll tell you what, when we come here, you know that the 33 is going to be up front. Kevin Harvick Racing builds great trucks, but the one that Hornaday has tonight may be the best one in their stable. Truck number 27, it's got 3 wins. It won that last race at Milwaukee, and Rick Wren said, we're bringing it back to Memphis. They're going for another Elvis Trophy. Adam?
And Dennis Setzer has the same truck today that he finished 2nd with last week at Milwaukee, Ray. That top 5 finish propelled Setzer up to 10th in the championship standings, and he should be good again this afternoon. He has a victory here at Memphis, that coming in 2001. 8 top 10s, better than any other driver. And what about the average finish? 6.6. Watch driver 8 starting 7th here today.
Thank you, Ray and Adam. Race fans, vote for your favorite Copart driver in the Copart Challenge of Champions. Choose between the 33 of Ron Hornaday or the number 30 of Todd Bodine to win a variety of prizes, including that all expenses paid VIP race experience in Talladega this October. Go to Copart.com for official rules and to register. Vote now for the Copart Challenge of Champions. Right now, Ron Hornaday leading that battle between the 2 former champions.
195 to 165, I believe, is the tally.
That win back in Milwaukee a week ago put him on top of that battle. And again, Ron Hornaday has won at this racetrack 2 times before. He has won Elvis Trophy. Terry Cook does not have an Elvis Trophy or a win at this racetrack. Could he find victory lane in 2009? We're about to find out. The green flag about to go in the air as we get underway with today's MemphisTravel.com 200.
Had a bit of a chain reaction about mid-pack. Somebody didn't get going, caused a bit of a tie-up.
Guys checking up and other guys ducking down to the bottom. 3 wide early on as they go through 1 and 2. Mike Skinner on the inside of Eric Almirola driving that 15 truck. Just in front of them, running 2nd is the 25 of Terry Cook. And out in front in that first lap is Ron Hornaday.
Eric Almirola did a nice job on the outside. There's Taylor Malsom. Remember, he had to go to the back of the pack, just went out of our screen. Passed several trucks already. Look at the huge lead right now for Ron Hornaday. At least he's the only truck we can see anyway.
Lap number 2, and Hornaday already with a 4 truck length lead over Terry Cook as they cross the stripe once again. Still some side-by-side battles. There's Taylor Malsom in that 81. The 180 driven by Taylor Malsom.
Taylor already up to the 28th spot. Remember, he started back in 36th, had to go to the back of the pack. We documented the fact he had to change the master zone. Now he may make it 3 wide.
Looking to the inside right now. Taylor Malsom down on the bottom.
He's going to make that work.
Close. 48. Hal Martin was able to sneak up the racetrack. Avoid as well as that 21 of Nick Tucker.
Matt Crafton makes a move to the inside of Colin Brown.
Colin Brown running that outside line. Phil, are we going to see many guys work the outside line at this racetrack?
Well, I think typically you want to be on the bottom of the racetrack, but we saw Eric Almirola hold on to that third spot from the outside. Colin Brown's trying to fight off Matt Crafton, not able to do it. It's going to allow Rick Crawford to move to the inside.
Side-by-side battle here. David Starr on the inside. Timothy Peters on the outside in that number 17. Those two are battling for the 9th spot.
David Starr had a very, very good truck in practice. He was one of the fastest trucks in practice. Qualified back in the 14th spot, but he was the first truck to go out for qualifying.
Ray, what's happening with that 8-1 team?
Well, Rick, just wanted to add about that. You know, as Adam was telling you about, they think they had a seal go out of that master cylinder, but Doug Wolcott was saying, what an incredible break. Yeah, you don't want to start in the back of a field on a short track, but imagine that happened in qualifying, giving them a chance to make that change. Imagine if that would have happened on lap 5. You'd be in the garage for 30 or 40 laps, and you'd end at the end of the back of the pack, getting a real bad finish. Taylor taking his time, working his way through this traffic.
Side-by-side racing continuing. You see that 07 of Jason Young battling up front.
Yeah, I talked to Bobby Dowder, who's one of the co-owners of this 07 truck, and he said they took Jason to Asheboro to Caraway Speedway for a test prior to coming here.
Whoa.
We're very, very impressed with the job he did, so really looking forward to getting him here at Memphis.
That was a close call for Johnny Sauter. He had to chase that truck up the racetrack. And now running on the outside of the 30 of Todd Bodine. So those two battling for position. That's for the 14th spot.
Talked to Todd right before the race this afternoon, and he really felt like he had a good truck for the race. Again, we talked to him earlier and said that they were never able to seem to get a good finish out of it, but really feels like he has a pretty good race truck.
You hear them getting out of the gas. They've worked their way through the turns and then right back into the throttle.
Yeah, this is a racetrack where we're going to see some, certainly if it's going to get dark at all, which I don't think it will be, but you're going to see the brake rotors glowing here because you use some brakes getting down in the corners here at this racetrack.
A little bit overcast right now, which is, I'm sure, helping for the temperature. Adam?
And just a moment ago, you were documenting the battle between Todd Bodine and Johnny Sauter. Sauter's bunch really felt like they had a pretty good truck coming in here today. And while he's never been in a truck at Memphis, he has a handful of Nationwide Series starts, many resulting in top 5 finishes, including a third a few years ago. It looks like driver 13 on the move around Todd Bodine and looking to the inside of youngster Colin Brown.
Thank you, Adam. A couple trucks side by side. Common theme here is the number 8 right now. On the outside, the 8 of Dennis Setzer. On the inside, the 88 of Matt Crafton. Those two battling for the 9th spot.
Yeah, if Matt can get by that 8 truck of Dennis Setzer, you know he has a pretty good truck, because I talked to Dennis, and Dennis is one of the very best race car drivers we've ever had here at this racetrack. One of only 2 winners in the field, along with Ron Hornaday. And if Matt can get by Dennis, he knows he's got a pretty good truck, because Dennis felt like he had a good one. So we'll see him around the front the whole race. But he did lose that spot to Matt Crafton. May lose another one to Timothy Peters.
Yeah, it looks like he's trying to find a way to get back to that inside line. And now he's got Timothy Peters to the inside of him. So he's trying to hold on to that position the best he can. Caution comes out on the racetrack. Can't see anything turned around, so I'm guessing that there was a debris or something on the racetrack.
See David Starr, that's the truck in the middle of our screen. See some debris come off. It's part of the rear bumper bar, I believe. He probably made a little contact early on. We saw him racing with the 88 of Matt Crafton. They may have made some contact, but that little piece went up to the outside wall. Will not affect David Starr's truck whatsoever.
So the first caution has come out from Memphis Motorsports Park on lap 14 of 200. Again, 150 miles the race. Sweltering day in Memphis, Tennessee. Welcome back to the Memphis Travel 200.com, presented on speed by Valvoline. We're under our first caution. It was debris coming off the 24. The Aaron's lucky dog will go to Michelle Theriault.
Well, we did that in honor of Mikey. You know, Mikey really loves that Aaron's gives all these lucky dogs away, and we're going to give one away early on.
Mikey mentioned that it's quite a bit cooler in the Loudon New Hampshire area right now than it is here. Field all in line as we're getting ready to restart here in Memphis. Ron Hornaday has led every lap. Terry Cook has run second. Green flag back in the air.
Nice clean start by Ron Hornaday, just as you would expect.
Saw the 13 moving to the inside, trying to take a position early. That's Johnny Sauter. He restarted 14th. Stacy Compton in the 60. There's Taylor Malsom again on the move. Mario Goslin on the outside of him in the 12.
Taylor's going to get another spot. That moves him up to the 20th position.
Again, unapproved adjustments after qualifying for Taylor Malsom put him to the back of the field.
And Taylor very much approved of those adjustments since he would not have had any brakes had they not worked on it.
Door-to-door racing right now. That's the 8 of Dennis Setzer on the outside. Timothy Peters on the inside. Now we're seeing some more between Johnny Sauter.
Colin Brown, the 6 truck. There's another view right now from the onboard, the Valvoline onboard of Colin Brown. See, Dennis is going to work his way to the bottom of the racetrack right in front of the 13 of Johnny Sauter.
Johnny Sauter in that Fun Sand Chevrolet.
Todd Bodine, the Copart onboard right there. Todd right now being shown in the 15th position. Looks maybe 3 wide for a moment.
3 wide just in front of Todd Bodine. Colin Brown able to make the move, get in front of the 13 of Johnny Sauter.
Look how close these trucks are running.
Well, short track racing. They bump and bang even on this 3/4 mile Memphis Motorsports Park. Dennis Setzer. Normally at a short track we see Dennis Setzer get through to the end of the race and doesn't have a scratch on his truck.
I'm not sure he has it scratched yet, but he's trying to put one on there.
He is very close right now to Johnny Sauter, and we've seen Setzer on the outside a few times. Now he completes the pass. He clears that 13 of Sauter. So Setzer holding on to 13th. Adam?
A little bit surprising that we have not seen Dennis Setzer have better luck in the early going, and that because Randy Dean and Dennis, as Phil mentioned earlier, very confident about their race truck, and what they like the most this week is they qualified so good, helping their track position at the start of this race, rolling from the 7th spot. But he's not where he wants to be, about to lose 13th to Johnny Sauter, and not too far behind him, TJ Bell running just outside the top 20. You see him left of your screen in the number 11. He came to pit road on that first caution, and the reason, no problems with the truck, he just wanted to get out of sequence because they had so much trouble qualifying. He started 24th, and he currently finds himself in the 22nd position, Ray.
And Adam, that position changes back as Sauter goes by Setzer, but way in front of them is the 6 truck. He was right in the middle of that battle. That's Colin Brown. But he said he's a little bit loose on entry, but where he's really having his trouble is in the center. He's about a number 8 on a scale of 1 to 10, very tight in the center. He's told Mike Beam they're going to need big adjustments on that Conway Ford.
And Mike Beam can do it too. Mike Beam won this race with Travis Quapple a couple years ago with this same number 6 truck.
David Starr and Matt Crafton now in the 7th and 8th spot.
You know, Matt Crafton wants to put that finish last week at Milwaukee behind him. The first race of the season, they did not have a top 11 finish, but guys told me that he had brake problems at Milwaukee, and that's what relegated him to a poor finishing position. As we watch TJ Bell move to the inside of Taylor Malsom, there's James Busher right in front of him.
We saw TJ Bell move up the racetrack and take a little higher entry into turn number 1 that time. Is that something that you can do to make a pass on somebody, run them up the track a bit?
Well, if you can arc it in there, then you have to have a truck tight enough to arc it in there. Then you can get a nice run through the center of the corner. The straighter you drive in the corner, the harder it is to get your truck turned. But if you can arc it in there like TJ did, then he was able to make that pass. But remember, Ray, I think, talked about TJ coming to pit road on that first caution flag. He put tires on that truck, actually, so he's got a little bit fresher tires than anybody else in the field right now.
We did have a few trucks come on to pit road. As you mentioned, TJ Bell did tires. A couple other trucks did either fuel or tires. Remember, in this series, you cannot do both on one pit stop. You cannot add fuel to the truck and change tires in the same pit stop. Brian Eichler in the 51, just in front of Timothy Peters. Again, Brian Eichler driving that 51 when Kyle Busch is not at the racetrack. And by the way, Kyle Busch, congratulations for your win in the Nationwide Series. A blown tire for Jason White. That right front tire going down. It doesn't look like he got into the wall. There's not any damage on the right front of that truck.
NASCAR officials watching, looking at the racetrack. I don't see a caution flag yet. They're going to keep their eye on things. I don't see a whole lot of debris on the racetrack right now, so we probably will be able to stay green.
That tire about to come off as Jason White makes his way onto pit road, and we'll go to the service of his crew. Adam?
And this is a tough break for Jason White because they had been on such a roll of late. Outside of Milwaukee last week where they finished 23rd, they'd been inside the top 15 5 consecutive races. A spin last week at Milwaukee, a right front tire gone down today. Pitting under green on a short track makes for a nightmarish day, and White behind the 8 ball early here this afternoon.
Ron Hornaday has been out front all 32 laps that have been completed of the 200 schedule. Terry Cook has been right behind him the whole time. Now it's about 2.5 seconds that separate Hornaday and Terry Cook. Temperatures reaching upwards of 100 degrees at Memphis Motorsports Park. The tempers inside the cockpits, well, they'll start icing as well. Tomorrow, NASCAR Race Day rocks New Hampshire. Fresh off his win at Infineon, Casey Kane will be stopping by, and former Loudon winner Greg Biffle will join us live. Don't miss NASCAR Race Day built by the Home Depot live tomorrow, 10:30 a.m. Eastern.
Then Denny Hamlin is going to be the real deal with Wendy.
Excellent. We want to tune in for all of that action tomorrow morning. Ron Hornaday continuing to dominate. 4.3 seconds is the difference. And now Terry Cook has got a battle on his hands. Eric Almirola has caught up to him.
Would you say that maybe Ron Hornaday has taken up where he left off last week?
Yeah.
He had led 180 of the 200 laps at Milwaukee in a dominating performance, and no different here today.
No difference whatsoever. Ron Hornaday dominating at Memphis. And he did it a year ago, too. It was a dominating performance for Ron Hornaday 1 year ago when he won that Elvis Trophy, which all of these drivers are looking to get their hands on here today.
He said earlier, I think maybe during our qualifying show, that he thought that was going to be the last Elvis Trophy. He said, well, now I want the really the last trophy. I want this one too.
He led 139 laps a year ago in this race, right?
Well, Rick, let's talk pit strategy just a little bit. This is interesting that we've gone green all the way to lap 43. We saw on the pit window earlier that it could go about 120 laps. I think that might be just a little bit generous. I'd say 110 is all that you could run under green. So what these guys are thinking about is you run this race in reverse to make sure you get in your fuel window. Remember, when you pit, you can either put on fuel or tires, but you can't do both at the same time. So a lot of guys are thinking if we get in our window to pit the first time for fuel, then that'll allow us to put tires on later in the race. So interesting strategies, and of course the crew chiefs have to make all these decisions based on how many laps of green and how many laps of caution. Adam?
And for Matt Crafton Ray, that weight is on the shoulders of Bud Hafley, his crew chief, who has been praising his driver in the early portion of this race. The guy who entered second in championship points, started 11th in the race today, and going after 6th place Brian Scott on the track right now. He has been very satisfied in the early part of this race as he gets aggressive with the 16. And just behind him, David Starr. Starr told us during qualifying early today, this thing won't qualify, but it will race. 3 times this year they have run this chassis. Each time he has finished in the top 10. He's gone from 14th to 8th in less than 50 laps here this afternoon.
David Starr's last 5 races, all top 11 finishes, 4 top 10s.
Stacy Compton running along, looking back at his Toyota onboard, running in the 5th spot.
Stacy tied his season best last week at Milwaukee with a 6th place finish, and good run early on here.
Can't forget about the right hand of Brian Scott. He broke his wrist a couple races back in Michigan, and so in Milwaukee he was racing with a brace or a cast on his right hand. Well, they They took that cast off, wanted to make sure that he wasn't doing more damage to his wrist, so they x-rayed it. They said, yep, you're doing okay. They actually put a little thinner cast on there to make it a little more comfortable while he's driving. I don't know if you can be comfortable with a broken wrist while you're driving, but they tried to make it a little more comfortable for him.
And I think for the second consecutive race, Ted Musgrave is on hand in case Brian would have any trouble. He was at Milwaukee last week, and obviously Brian had a great run there with 1.5 arms and finished in the 3rd spot.
Ray Dunlap.
Just to add to that, guys, Brian came on the radio right before the race began, and he said, remember, this is a team effort. I want everybody to pitch in, but if I feel like I'm the weak link at some time, I will get out of this race truck. It's not my plan, but this truck's good enough to win. We want to get it to the front. And he said, I'm going to do everything at my disposal to get to the best finish possible.
That's a great attitude to have. Obviously very much involved with the management of this team as well.
Matt Crafton just in front of him. Crafton again running for the championship as he sits second in the points to Ron Hornaday. Here's Ryan Eichler, and the caution comes out one more time. Second caution of the day. Flying this time. It looks like we've got a truck up in turn number 4. Not able to get off the racetrack, and a little damage to the right front of that 87 of Chris Jones.
Chris may have lost a right front tire, and then looks like the tire's up now, though. Obviously rubbing that damaged fender.
We see Hornaday's crew throwing the tires up on the wall. We would expect to see them on pit road now as we've completed 52 laps of the 200 scheduled. So over half a fuel run.
Yeah, as Ray talked, though, this is not going to be enough to get them in a window. This will be the only round of pit stops. But I'd say with 50 laps on their tires, and as you mentioned, about halfway through a fuel run, I think we're going to see these guys on pit road.
So the field has tucked in behind the pace truck. Randy Kaiser driving the pace truck here in the Camping World Truck Series. Ron Hornaday will be the first one to hit pit road. And again, 2 stops if you want to do tires and fuel. You can only do 1 per stop. You can do 4 tires and make any adjustments, or you can do fuel and make any adjustments. You just can't do them on the same stop. See the water there in the cockpit or the front seat there of Hornaday's race truck. Rick Wren up on the pit box, letting him know what they're going to do.
Yeah, he's the first guy that has to make the call as the leader. And he is coming to the access road, coming to pit road.
Line of trucks lining up behind that 33 of Ron Hornaday. All trucks are allowed to come onto pit road, even on the first round or first opening of pit road. And we'll go down to Adam Alexander.
Pretty much a status quo day for Stacy Compton. Started 6th and currently rides in the 5th position. A racetrack where he's had a great deal of success, not only in the Camping World Truck Series, but also the NASCAR Nationwide Series. You see that 60 bottom of your screen. The word for Stacy in the early going, a bit snug in the center of the corner. They will adjust air pressure 4 tires the first time around. They will come back for fuel, Ray.
Well, a little bit tight for the Cajun Industries Toyota for Terry Cook, no question about that. They're also going to do air pressure. You see him in the middle of the screen. It'll be 4 tires. Up at the front of the field in pit stall number 1, it's the Longhorn Chevrolet of Ron Hornaday. He said no adjustments. Love the way this truck is going. Give me 4 fresh tires. Hornaday will easily be the first one off pit road. TJ Bell going out second.
Yeah, TJ, remember, put tires on that first round of caution flag pit stops. So he did not put tires on this time. As you can see, gained 12 spots.
Good pit strategy for TJ Bell. To celebrate the 25th anniversary of Richard Petty's 200th win, Daytona International Speedway has announced 2 great ways to celebrate the 4th of July weekend. Enter to win the 2009 King for a Day VIP sweepstakes hosted by the King himself, as well as purchase specially priced $43 Daytona front stretch tickets. Let's go back down to Adam Alexander.
And as we told you a moment ago, Rick, Stacy Compton coming on his first trip around for 4 tires. They made the air pressure adjustment to help what was a tight handling race truck. The 60 will come to a stop and fuel up. Now these guys will have to come one more time for fuel. As Ray talked about, the window somewhere around 105 or 110 laps. With just over 140 to go, everyone will return, Ray.
And Hornaday getting fuel down on my end. We got a little bit of a track bar adjustment on the 81. They played a pit strategy game of getting only 2 tires on the first round of this double dip of pit stops.
Well, Hornaday wins the race off of pit road, but actually our leader is going to be TJ Bell, who stayed out on the second round of pit stops. The Aaron's lucky dog goes to Mario Goslin. driving that number 12. He will get a lap back and be back on the lead lap.
Remember, TJ Bell only made one pit stop this round, so he will be our leader. Does not have as pressure tires as everybody else.
Attention all you Digger fans, you can now get Digger on your computer and get free Digger videos, wallpapers, games, and more. Visit digger.ask.com today. So Ron Hornaday no longer your race leader, as we ride along with Colin Brown there. On the outside of row number 1, that will be TJ Bell that will bring this field back to the green flag. Coming out of turn number 4, they're all double file, and we are back to racing.
I really don't think it's going to be long till Ron Hornaday goes back to the lead. Remember, fresher tires than TJ Bell has.
Outside goes Ron Hornaday for the lead, and it took him about a half lap.
He took his time.
How about this? Got a few slower trucks on the inside. It was 3 and 4 wide down the backstretch. Brian Scott on the outside. Here it's 3 wide now as they go into turn 1.
Eric Almirola, Mike Skinner split TJ Bell. That's second and third now in a battle side by side.
Mike Skinner about to embark on an overseas trip where he will be a part of that the Red Bull event where they have the Red Bull racing. I think with the vehicles that they put together, some out of cardboard and all sorts of things taking place, but he's also going to go out of the country and I think play in Scotland, play a little golf while he's away.
Right now he's got a great battle left of your screen. Eric Almirola, Phoenix Construction Toyota, Mike Skinner, the Exide Toyota, in a terrific battle for second.
Across the stripe, side by side again. Mike Skinner not giving up an inch on the outside. Now it looks as though Eric Almirola is going to nose out front, and he will take second away from Skinner.
You know, Eric Almirola was here, and he was a regular in this series a few years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, with very moderate success. But he went to the Cup Series, really did a nice job for DEI last year. And when he came back to this series now, it's like a different driver. And he's right up front here, racing with Mike Skinner in the second spot.
Holding on to second. Now he is just about a second behind Ron Hornaday. So we'll see if he closes the gap. Terry Cook couldn't close the gap on Hornaday when he was running second. Now it's Eric Almirola's turn. We'll see if he can close in on that 33 of Hornaday. Hornaday has been dominant today. Oh, we've got problems with the 84, and he catches the 10 and the 8 as well. The 07 involved. So Jason Young, we've got Dennis Setzer, we've got James Busher all into the inside wall in turns 3 and 4.
Dennis able to continue without a great deal of damage, it looked like, but a lot of damage to Jason Young, a lot of damage to the 10 of James Busher.
We talked about Jason Young. His goal was probably to finish this race on the lead lap if he could, and now with the damage to that truck, he will be hard pressed to get back out on the racetrack, I'm sure. And we see a little bit of damage to the 8.
Not a great deal of damage. It doesn't look like to Dennis's Malcolmson Construction Chevrolet, but the 10 has a lot of damage to it, James Busher. Let's take a look back at what happened here. Watch for the 07. There's look in front. You see the smoke. Dennis Setzer, the 8. Oh, the 84 was in the outside wall. The 07 had slowed. It looked like maybe on the bottom of the racetrack. And then possibly the 10 made contact with him. There's another view. Yes, looks like maybe the 07 and the 10 possibly got together, or maybe the 07 just got sideways.
So the 07 into the inside wall, and there you see the damage to the front end of that vehicle. Also, the 84 of Chris Fontaine with some damage to the outside of that race truck. We'll be back with more racing from Memphis after this. Welcome back. We just saw the NASCAR Hall of Fame. What an exciting thing that's taking place with the Hall of Fame. We are going to be able to unveil the 25 nominees for the first class in the NASCAR Hall of Fame.
Yeah, that'll be terrific. There's a great group of drivers. And the nice thing is the 25 don't know who they are until they watch this show right here.
They
on
will watch
speed.
On speed to find out who that first nominated class will be, and then there will be 5 that will be inducted as that first class into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, there are a lot of people that make up the nominating committee and the voting committee. There are a lot of media members, former drivers, owners, sponsors, and the fans will also have a vote and a say-so in who goes in that first class.
Ron Hornaday back in front of this field with Aric Almirola trailing just behind. Green flag goes back in the air. We're back underway.
Aric Almirola stays right with Ron Hornaday. It looks like he might want to take a shot at him.
Looking to the inside. Here they go down the backstretch into turn number 3. Hornaday able to hold him off through 3. Let's see how he does coming out onto the front stretch.
Looked like Aric had a nose underneath him going in 3, and Ron just drove it down in the corner harder.
There they go through 1 and 2. Mike Skinner staying on the back bumper of that 15 of Aric Almirola. There's your top 3.
Terry Cook able to maintain the 4th position. Matt Crafton right now running 5th. Good battle right there. Right there on your screen.
4th and 5th, Terry Cook, Matt Crafton. Those two separated by just a 1/10 of a second.
A couple of drivers in the top 10 in points. Matt Crafton, as we've talked about, 2nd in points coming into this race. Terry Cook, 8th in points.
Here comes Matt Crafton looking to the inside of that 25 of Terry Cook. This is for the 4th spot. Crafton trying to take it away from Terry Cook.
Yeah, Terry's going to give him plenty of room. He knows it's really early. Only 70 laps completed right now. Matt Crafton going to take that spot at him.
No adjustments for the 88 on that first stop when they came down at lap 53 and 54. And there was a time on that first long green run of the race where he was the only driver that was running laps similar to that of Ron Hornaday. It'll be interesting to see if he can pass a couple of more what he has for the 33, Ray.
No adjustments for the 15 of Aric Almirola on the first round of pit stops either. He's very happy with his Phoenix construction race truck. You know, Eric's in excellent shape, and before the race I asked him if he's been working out to get ready for this heat. He said, well, most of the time I work out 3 days a week, but none this week because I drove my motor home from Milwaukee down here to Memphis, and he said, I've been a regular tourist this week. I did the deal at Graceland, been all the way down to the Peabody Hotel, and everything that a first-timer to Memphis would do. He and his girlfriend Janice had a great time this week, but no workouts for Almirola this week. It was all vacation.
He's having a workout right now, though, I'll tell you that.
He's in a tough workout right now. There we see Jason White just behind that 8 of Dennis Setzer. Again, Setzer was involved in the most recent incident on the racetrack.
It didn't appear to have too much damage to that 8 truck, but you never know if you hit a wheel, if it gets the wheel, gets the toe end out or the camber out.
Side by
trouble!
Problems right there in front of us. The 51 of Brian Eichler goes around.
Ricky Carmichael got to the inside of Brian Eichler, and Brian came down the hill. They made contact. You can see the damage to the left rear quarter of that Mikosuke Toyota. That's where the contact came from the 4 of Ricky Carmichael.
The 4 and the 51 have some contact. The 51 goes around. It brings out our 4th caution of the race. We aren't at the halfway point as we've completed 75 laps now. Take another look. That 4 was down there. It looked like Brian was trying to take up real estate that was already taken.
Yeah, David Starr had gotten by Brian, and Brian was going to try to follow him in to the corner on the bottom of the racetrack, and Ricky stuck his nose up in there. He was all the way up to the rear tire. I'm sure Brian didn't think he was going to make that move. They made contact. Unfortunately, not a great deal of damage to either one of those trucks.
Brent Sherman's going to get the Aaron's lucky dog, so he will grab a lap back and be back on the lead lap. That will put 22 on the lead lap here at Memphis. Next week, Speed has 2 hard-pounding nights of Wrecked. First catch, an all-new episode Thursday night at 10 p.m. Eastern. Then the action continues with the Wrecked Marathon Friday night beginning at 8 p.m. Eastern. Get hooked on Wrecked. Life in the crash lane. Ray Dunlap.
Well, Rick, remember I was talking about strategies varying a little bit? Well, if you're Ron Hornaday, you don't want to come in here. You're racing for points. But if you're Brian Scott, you're going to try to win this race. And what he and Jeff Hensley decided to do, they come in on lap 75 to get fuel. They got that fuel, and now the next time they come in, if it plays to their liking, they will get only tires on the last round of pit stops, and they think that's going to play out for great track position.
Yeah, another guy in the same philosophy as that 24 truck of David Starr. He has the same amount of fuel too. He actually came back in and topped it off.
Green flag back in the air. A move by T.J. Bell to the outside of Terry Cook. Makes it side by side through 1 and 2 as those two battling for the 5th spot.
Remember, TJ put tires on a little bit earlier than the rest of the guys did. So he has about 15 lap older tires right now than Terry Cook does.
Hornaday and T.J. Bell, the only two that have been out front. Hornaday has already led 75 of our 79 laps.
He's headed for a better percentage of laps led than he did last week when he led 180 out of 200.
Well, contact there. Stacy Compton, T.J. Bell. T.J. Bell has to chase it up the racetrack. Stacy Compton looks to move past.
Pretty incidental contact, but you have to be careful. You never know when some of the parts of that truck are going to rub a tire.
T.J. Bell run a little bit higher now. Through turns 1 and 2.
He may have an opportunity to get back down to the bottom. Now he does, but Taylor Malsom's coming up there. Ooh.
Taylor Malsom checked up on the brakes pretty hard there. So it's good that he didn't change that master cylinder.
Yeah, he needed the brakes right there.
Adam Alexander.
Phil mentioned a moment ago the fact that David Starr came down and topped off with fuel at lap 77. The conversation between he and crew chief Jason Miller prior to that happening was classic. Miller came on the radio and said, okay, David, we're going to come down and top off. We're only going to be 9 laps short if we pit and get fuel right here. And David said, I don't know, man. It is so hard to come back through the field. And he said everyone else is going to have to pit for tires and fuel. We will get the track position back. And then David came back and said, I'm just frustrated in traffic. You do what you need to do. Ultimately, the crew chief won out. David is pitted for fuel, and we will continue to keep an eye on the cautions. If they get enough caution laps, they can, in fact, go the distance.
Yeah, Adam, it's going to be a lot easier to pass those trucks when they're on pit road and you stay on the racetrack. So I think that's great strategy right there. Good battle for 6th. The 13 of Johnny Sauter, the 60 of Stacy Compton. We know right now that that's what Brian Scott's going to do. David Starr's going to do that. Jason White and James Busher. Obviously, James with a lot of damage to that truck. And the 51 of Brian Eichler all have probably enough fuel with some caution laps to get to the end.
Talked about that fuel window being anywhere from 110 to 120 laps.
You just extend that with caution laps, though. You get about 2 to 1. You get about 2 caution laps for every green flag lap. So you get enough caution laps to get you in your window.
Saw Stacy Compton in that 60. Now we see the teammates, Timothy Peters in the 17 and the 11 of T.J. Bell running nose to tail on the racetrack. That's 9th and 10th.
There's Todd Bodine right there, the Copart on board. Todd right now being shown back in the 13th position. Good battle right there. Rick Crawford gets to the inside of Colin Brown.
2 Fords running side by side. Crawford on the inside, Colin Brown on the outside. Crawford looking for that Elvis trophy. Would be the prize, I'm sure, of his trophy collection.
Todd has a great view of this battle. Looks like Rick's going to get it.
Crawford able to take that position away. So he is up to 11th. Colin Brown drops back to 12. Rick Crawford now looking to the inside of that 11 of T.J. Bell.
Boy, Rick looks to have a good truck right here. The Durostar Ford. We know how much he would love to get that trophy.
Winning in Memphis, I think, would rate right up there with that win that he won at Daytona back in 2003. At least grabbing this trophy here, the Elvis, which has always been Rick Crawford's favorite performer. Now
Rick does a pretty good imitation of Elvis, doesn't he?
He does. He does. Side by side once again. Brian Scott on the outside of Ricky Carmichael.
Brian's made a nice move up. There's a 24. David Starr. Both of those trucks probably have enough fuel to get to the end with a few caution laps. Right now, Brian Scott's trying to move into the 14th spot around the Ford Ricky Carmichael.
Running a little bit higher on the racetrack. We saw Todd Bodine. He didn't have a truck on the inside of him, but he was still running almost into that second groove.
Todd's just looking for grip right now. He's just trying to find some grip wherever he may be able to find it.
Here comes the 24 of David Starr to the outside of that 16, trying to make the pass on the outside.
Looks like he's going to be able to get that pass done to take over that spot from Brian Scott. That moves David Starr into the 14th spot.
David Starr now moves back to the inside. That's the truck on the move. Starr was able to get by the 16 of Brian Scott on the outside. Now he goes to the inside of that 30.
Remember a couple years ago, David Starr dominated the short tracks the entire season long. Won one race at Martinsville, but dominated the entire season on short tracks.
And now he's picking his way up toward the front. We think he's got enough fuel. All he'll have to do is change tires. But Ron Hornaday continues to set the blistering pace here. He's got a 2.5 lead over Eric Almirola. A few cautions have slowed the pace, but not for that 33 of Hornaday. Welcome back to the MemphisTravel200.com, presented on speed by Valvoline. It has been all Ron Hornaday dominating out in front of this field. He's got about a 2.5 over second place Eric Almirola, and Todd Bodine currently running in the 13th position. Now, race fans, vote for your favorite Copart driver in the Copart Challenge of Champions. Choose between that 33 out front of Ron Hornaday or the number 30 right now running 13th of Todd Bodine. You can win a variety of prizes, including that all expense paid VIP race experience in Talladega this October. Just go to Copart Challenge of Champions at Copart.com.
Right now, I'm going to vote for Ron Hornaday.
Are you sure?
Well, I mean, that's, maybe a little obvious, but I'll take the obvious.
All right. Let's go a little deeper in the field with a top 10 drop back. Ray, can you start us off with Ron Hornaday?
Well, it's pretty easy when you talk about Hornaday. Lately, he's at the front of the field, leading lots of races. But guys, you know how important it is when you're trying to win a championship. You got to garner as many bonus points as you possibly can. And when you talk about this Kevin Harvick race team this year, how about this? They've led every race this season except for California. So Hornaday being out front has certainly gotten them maximum number of points. Now right behind them, what a great run for Eric Almirola. When you look at his statistics, guys, a best finish of 8th at New Hampshire. But when you talk with Eric, he says that is certainly not truly indicative of how well he's run in this series. He's had a lot of times where they were right up there challenging for the win, but just couldn't get it done. And behind him, Mike Skinner. What a great truck these guys had at Milwaukee, but guess what? They got victim of the pit stop challenge. They decided to come back in and do fuel and tires. Right after that, the caution came out, and that in turn gave them a 64-point loss. They believe they had a truck that could have finished second that day. They lost 64 points at Milwaukee. Adam?
Skinner not the only guy losing points a week ago, Ray. The guy right behind him, I'm talking about the 88 of Matt Crafton, went from championship leader to runner-up. That because he finished outside the top 10 for only the second time. Brakes the problem for this team a week ago. No issues today. He rides fourth and has said nothing but positive things on the radio. Ray?
Terry Cook in the Cajun Industries truck is currently running in 5th. You know, he had a second-place run here at this track back in 2002. I asked Terry before the race, do you like Memphis? He says, I do, but I treat this track a lot like Darlington. He said, you've got to race the racetrack here and not always worry about what the competition is doing. Adam?
When it comes to ThorSport Racing, Ray, the focus has been on the 88 of Matt Crafton. As we talked about just a second ago, that's for good reason, because he is in the championship hunt. But you've got to say some positive things about this 13 as well. Johnny Sauter having a great season on a run right now, top 15 finishes. He and the team very confident about today, and they are delivering the product. He currently finds himself in the 6th position. Right behind him, another driver who's enjoyed a lot of success here at Memphis over the years in truck and nationwide competition, Stacy Compton. They qualified 6th today, and that's impressive when you consider they only got a few laps in final practice yesterday because of a fuel pump issue. Compton feels good about where he is in the middle stages of this race. And then there's Timothy Peters in only his 3rd race for Red Horse Racing. This club has been very, very good through the transition. He and Chad Kendrick have got a great synergy, and I think it's that relationship that has helped this transition be so smooth. He's looking for his 2nd top 10 finish in only 3 weeks in that 17, Ray?
Adam, when we look back in the 9th position, what a great move for Taylor Malsom and his entire 180 team. Remember, they started all the way back at the end of the field in 36th today. He's moved up to 9th. Now, they took 2 tires on that first round of pit stop to get some track position, and that's what's done it for him. Over our couple of weeks break here, he is going to be going back to Oregon to run more sprint car racing. They'll also do a tire test at the Little Rock down in Rockingham. Adam?
Rounding out the top 10 is Rick Crawford, and debris on the track means we have a caution once again. Guys?
Thanks a lot, boys. It was the 5th caution. We're having debris on the racetrack, and it looks like it came off of that 84 of Chris Fontaine. So we see the damage to the right front as it scrapes along the access road to pit road.
Now here's where that strategy is going to come into play. We know all these trucks on the lead lap are going to come for tires, and they're going to come for fuel because now they're in their window. Brian Scott, the 16, David Starr, the 24, maybe Dennis Setzer may not have to come in 2 times. They may only come in for tires, and they're going to get track position.
And we see the field lining up behind the pace truck as the work continues to go on with the 84 of Chris Fontaine. Next Saturday, July 4th, fireworks will be exploding in the Rolex Sports Car Series when Kyle Busch and Scott Speed team up for their first ever Daytona prototype race. Busch is never afraid to mix it up, so this race is sure to pop. Don't miss the Rolex Sports Car Series live from Daytona next Saturday at 2 p.m. only on Speed.
Brian Eichler came down pit road with it being closed, so he will have to restart this race from the tail end of the longest line. Don't know if that was a mistake or that was planned, but he will definitely go to the back of the tail end of the longest line.
And we see that work being done to the 51. They're changing 4 tires.
Yeah, they might as well take their time now because it's, you know, the damage is done. They came down pit road early before pit road was open. I think as a matter of fact, pit road is not yet open.
Still closed. He was running 17th at the time when he came onto pit road, and again, they cannot come onto pit road until it is officially opened by NASCAR. He came in, made his stop, made adjustments to that truck, put on 4 tires. And there you see the Longhorn crew. Ron Hornaday up on the wall, ready to go to work and service Hornaday's number 33. Again, he's been out front for over 100 laps. He will lead the most laps here today, no matter what happens the remainder of this race.
Yeah, we know that the 24 of David Starr, the 16 of Brian Scott, if they stick with their strategy, they're going to have great track position. But this 33 truck has been so strong. If he can get out there anywhere near the top 5 for this restart, he's going to have to pass some trucks maybe for the first time this race, other than TJ Bell, who would say that was some pit strategy. But it's going to be interesting to see how Ron Hornaday is able to combat that 16 and the 24.
Adam Alexander, they're coming to you.
Lap 112 will likely be the start of final pit stops, and the guy we will see coming down first is the driver running in the 4th position. We're talking about Matt Crafton in the 88. 4 tires the first time around. They will come back for fuel. No changes. He is happy with the truck. And then you will see bottom of your screen his teammate, the 13 of Johnny Sauter. He too will get 4 tires on this first trip around. A number of drivers asking for a cool rag to help him get through the final stages, Ray.
Eric Almirola wants his truck loosened up just a little bit. They'll do that with air pressure. Up front here, it'll be 4 tires for Ron Hornaday. Now, guys, a little perspective when you look at this race a year ago. Hornaday was 4th in points, about 70 back. They really believe this team is together as good as can be. A little bit of a hang-up on the left front wheel, and it looks like the 15 will beat him off pit road.
Eric Almirola wins the first race off of pit road.
Remember, they're going to come back in for fuel. These guys, the 15 of Eric Almirola, the 33 of Hornaday, almost the entire field will be back on pit road in another lap.
So the field races down the backstretch actually to get onto pit road, and then they have to go to 35 miles per hour once they get on pit road. Adam?
And Matt Crafton, another driver who picked up spots on that first cycle of pit stops. He got around Terry Cook, advancing from 4th to 3rd. He comes back down the second time. This will be fuel only again. It will be no adjustments for the 88. Final stops of the day. His teammate a few pit stalls behind him. Johnny Sauter, bottom of your screen, is already topped off the fuel tank, Ray.
And these guys said, shake it off here. We'll put a little bit of fuel in this thing. 1 can going in. You see these guys getting fuel. Who will win the battle off pit road this time? The 15 is coming, but Hornaday that much quicker. Hornaday loses a spot on tires, gains it back after getting fuel.
And again, that's the race off of pit road. It was the 33, then the 15, the 88, and the 5 of Skinner. Now remember, we've got a few trucks that stayed on the racetrack this second time. The 60 of Stacy Compton, the 16 of Brian Scott, and the 24 of David Starr. So they are the 3 trucks that will be out in front of the field when the green flag flies again to restart this one in Memphis. Coverage of the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series on Speed is presented to you by Valvoline, the only motor oil that guarantees your engine for up to 300,000 miles. Register at Valvoline.com. By Advance Auto Parts. Keep the wheels turning.
The 60 of Stacy Compton was one of the 3 trucks that stayed out, but he came down pit road this lap to get his fuel. I guess undoubtedly he stayed out just to lead a lap and get to 5 bonus points, and now he came back down pit road. He will lose all the track position that he had. Had a pretty good race truck, but now he's going to restart at the very back. But that leaves Brian Scott, that 16 truck with their lead, and there's a 24 of David Starr. Remember the pit strategy those 2 guys have employed.
Let's see how well the casted right hand of Brian Scott gets through the gears on this restart. Coming out of turn number 4, green flag back in the air.
Keep an eye on that 33 truck of Ron Hornaday. He goes to the outside.
Trying to take the second spot away from David Starr in the 24. Down the backstretch he goes. He's got second. David Starr tucks in behind him. Now Brian Scott will try to stay out in front of Ron Hornaday.
Eric Almirola looks to the outside of the 24 of David Starr. David's going to give him room. Great battle for third right there. Eric Almirola, the Phoenix Construction Toyota on the outside. David Starr. Jim Harris is number 24, the Zachary Toyota on the inside.
David Starr tried to hang on one of those top 2 spots. He and Brian Scott stayed out on the second stops or second go around and not able to hang on to that position, and now he's in a battle for the 3rd spot, trying to hold on to 3rd, but it's the 15 of Eric Almirola that's taking that position away.
Eric's going to be able to do it. Eric's been strong this entire race. He moves back up to the 3rd spot. How about Brian Scott able to stay in front of Ron Hornaday for the moment?
Brian Scott, and he's got a little bit of cushion, as a matter of fact, almost a half a second between he and Hornaday. We haven't seen that all day. Mike Skinner currently running in the 6th spot, and there the battle continues for that 4th position.
Yeah, I had given that spot to Eric Almirola, but David Starr fought back on the inside.
Close to the wall was Eric Almirola as they work their way through the front stretch and back into turn number 1. Here comes David Starr. Again, actually a battle for 3rd and 4th, so 3rd position is what they're fighting for. And David Starr looks to be taking it back away from Eric Almirola.
Great battle right here. Matt Kraft on the 88 following this group. Matt's in 5th. Looks like David Starr is going to take it back from Eric Almirola.
David Starr grabs 3rd back, and now looking to the inside, Eric Almirola. Those 2 battled nose to tail and then door to door for quite a few laps. How about Stacy Compton? He led a lap and then back onto pit road. Adam Alexander, what was going on?
It was a miscommunication, Rick. Stacy thought he heard Marcus Richmond, the crew chief, say, "Don't come for fuel," when he actually said, "Come for fuel." There was just a misunderstanding at that point. They said we might as well stay out, lead a lap, and then come down and get our fuel. But a tough break for Stacy Compton, who found himself solidly in the top 10 late in this race.
You know, guys, I'm all about listening to the crew chief, but Stacy at that point, he can look up at the scoreboard and know that he's in his window. He knows he's got to make 2 pit stops. So, you know, that's an audible that Stacy should have made to bring that truck down pit road.
Now he's looking to the inside of Mario Goslin in the 12. Goslin received the Aaron's Lucky Dog most recently, and he was running in the 17th position. Speaking of 17, that's Timothy Peters in the 17, just behind the 5 of Mike Skinner. Those 2 running 6th and 7th, Skinner holding the 6th spot.
Brian Scott has done a great job of keeping that truck out in front of Ron Hornaday, but Ron has been so strong this entire race. You wonder if he's just riding back there, letting Brian wear that stuff out on that 16 truck, that Albertsons Toyota.
But remember, Brian Scott came in a little bit earlier and is probably hoping on maybe a few more caution laps for his fuel window to make it to the end. Do you think he can get there?
I think he can get there. I really do. Remember, this racetrack, they measure from the outside wall.
Sure.
It measures 3/4 of a mile. Where they're running on the bottom of the racetrack, it's really only about 7/10. So, Ray, they don't have to go quite as far as we think.
Yeah, I agree with that completely, Phil. And Jeff Hensley just saying to him, realize you two trucks up front are in a class of your own. So if Hornaday does come up there and give you a lot of pressure, let him go. We'll take a second for right now. But right now, just don't wear your stuff out because there's a lot of race left.
Oh, a little loose there for the Albertsons Toyota Tundra. But he's able to hold on to that top spot. And Ron Hornaday continues to give chase. So Brian Scott back in front of the field after winning his first race in Dover earlier this year. Welcome back, MemphisTravel200.com, presented on speed by Valvoline. Sure enough, here comes Ron Hornaday to the inside of that 16 of Brian Scott. That's a battle for your lead.
I really had a feeling that Ron Hornaday was just taking it easy, just watching Brian Scott, just keeping an eye on him. Now they're going to try to split Brett Sherman here. Ron's going to get him on the inside, Brian on the outside.
You saw a pass like that earlier this year. I believe it was in Michigan.
It might have been Michigan, and it was a pass for the win.
Yes, it was. Now Ron Hornaday's back out in front of the field on lap 136 of 200.
You know, Ron led 90% of the laps at Milwaukee last week, so he's trying to keep that trend going. I don't know if he can do it or not. He can't do it. He's already let Brian Scott and T.J. Bell lead too many of the laps.
Yeah, that's the problem with Ron Hornaday, letting other people get in front and lead these laps. So again, he's lost the lead. Brian Scott has lost the lead to Hornaday once again. David Starr running in the 3rd spot. Eric Almirola 4th. Matt Crafton is 5th. Rick Crawford, as we see on the screen, in the 11th position.
Has a battle going with the 81 of Taylor Malsom.
Taylor Malsom running in the 12th spot. Let's go a little deeper in the field. Let's start with Rick Crawford and Adam Alexander.
And he's riding in the 11th position, and this is disappointment for this team, you know, because of how important this racetrack is to Rick and how good he has run here over the years, 4th a year ago. But unfortunately, he's not made a lot of gains since starting in the 13th position and riding 11th at this stage of the race. It's going to be awfully difficult for Rick to win that Elvis Trophy this afternoon, Ray.
And Adam, I had told you earlier it was a 2-tire stop that got Taylor Malsom up there to about 6th or 7th. Well, they went 4 tires this last time and had a little bit of a slow stop, dropped them back to 12th, but realize this team is currently 6th in points and showing an incredible amount of promise. Adam?
And Dennis Setzer would fall into the disappointment category as well. He qualified 7th. This team was as confident as anybody entering the day, involved in a spin just past lap 60, lost a ton of track position, and on an afternoon when he felt like he could get MRD Motorsports their first win, unfortunately he finds himself outside the top 12 with just over 50 laps to go, Ray.
You know, I talked about Terry Cook. They made a lot of changes on the first round of pit stops, but Terry said he didn't really feel like it helped him very much. So they basically put the exact thing back that they started the race with on that last round of pit stops. So they really just changed back to where they had started. Now right behind them is the number 4 truck of Ricky Carmichael, and he says on the radio he needs side bite really bad. He's very, very loose entering into the center of the corner. Adam?
Stacy Compton entered today, Ray, hoping to capitalize on momentum coming off a top 10 run a week ago at Milwaukee, and they were in position to do so until that miscommunication on pit road, the last caution, and unfortunately it has dropped them back now riding in the 15th position. It's going to be tough to get many spots back for driver 60, Ray.
Ryan Eichler in 17th, and he came on the radio after that miscommunication saying, I promise you the pit road light said that it was open, so I came down. He said, just as I started to come down, then it went to red. So we don't know if that's true or not, but Eichler believes that he had an opening to come to pit road, even though he got penalized. Adam?
T.J. Bell had crashed in 5 of the last 7 races entering today. The good news is he has not hit the wall or hit anyone else on track. The unfortunate situation for T.J. Bell, a track position move early in this race really has not paid off. The driver who was looking to get back into the top 10, finds himself now riding in the 18th position. And when you talk about an A for effort, you have to talk about the driver right behind Bell in 19th. Mario Gosselin, multiple times today, has received NASCAR's free pass. He's going to try and go the distance, run all the laps, and he's on pace to do so right now, guys.
Thank you, Adam. Thank you, Ray. Getting a little deeper in the field. But out front, a familiar face and a familiar truck. The 33 of Ron Hornaday continuing to lead laps. He's put his total up to 118 now. Welcome back to MemphisTravel200.com, presented on speed by Valvoline. How about the fans sticking it out here in this unbelievable temperatures, upwards of 100 degrees. They say it feels like 110 degrees. 93 now, it feels like 102 as the sun begins to drop down to the horizon.
Cooled way off.
Way off. Race fans, vote for your favorite Copart driver in the Copart Challenge of Champions. That is between Ron Hornaday and the 30 of Todd Bodine. All you have to do is go to Copart.com for official rules and to register. Vote now for the Copart Challenge of Champions. And again, you can win an all-expenses-paid VIP race experience in Talladega this October.
Yeah, right now, Ron Hornaday has it going his way. But I'll tell you, a couple laps ago, Brian Scott picked up 0.2 of a second on Ron Hornaday. But that lap, Ron was about 0.3 of a second quicker because Brian Scott encountered some traffic. There's Todd right there, the 30 truck. We're getting a report that he possibly may be smoking a little bit. I don't see a great deal out of the back of that truck right now. Could have been a situation where he might have locked the brakes up for a moment getting in the corner. We've seen that happen several times in several of the trucks. I don't see any smoke there at all on that Copart Toyota.
Todd Bodine running in the 10th spot. He's 10.5 seconds behind Ron Hornaday, who is about to put a few more trucks a lap down. Right now, Mario Gosselin running 19th. He is on the lead lap, but for how long, we have to ask Ron Hornaday. Currently running second, Brian Scott. Again, they used some pit strategy to get that track position.
And Brian gained another 1/10 of a second on Ron Hornaday. It seems like whoever may be in traffic will lose some ground. Just a couple laps ago, the top 6 trucks on the racetrack all ran within a 0.5 of a second of the same speed.
There's David Starr. David Starr running third. He's about 3 seconds behind our race leader as he works around slower lap traffic of Jason White in that 23. Jason White had problems early, the right front tire going down.
Good battle brewing up right here. There's the 15 of Eric Almirola. He has 4th. That Phoenix construction truck. And there's Matt Kraft in the Menard Chevrolet looking to the inside. Eric's going to use that 57 of Norm Benning for a pick.
Here comes Matt Crafton looking to the inside now of Eric Almirola. He's got the position. Almirola has to go a little higher on the racetrack. Again, this is a battle for the 4th spot.
Eric really gets a nice run up off the corner on the high side.
Almirola holding on to that 4th position. Matt Crafton still giving chase.
Matt's able to keep this truck a little bit lower exiting turn number 4. That's where the best opportunity to pass is as you exit turn number 4. If you can get your truck a little straighter up off the corner, get underneath that guy and beat him down to the turn.
So Crafton drops back about 2 truck lengths from Eric Almirola. And the difference between Hornaday and Brian Scott, 2 seconds. That's Rick Rensmile. He's got a little lead here at Memphis Motorsports Park.
The trucks will get a few weeks off before heading to Kentucky. Will we finally see the first repeat winner in our 10th trip to the Bluegrass State? Find out when the green flag falls on July 18th, starting with the setup at 6:30, only on Speed. Be there.
And again, it's the Bill Ford Tough 225. That's the next stop for the Camping World Truck Series 2 weeks from this weekend at Kentucky Speedway. Another 1.5-mile track.
The thunder of engines, lightning fast speed, and edge of your seat excitement. July 18th on Speed, the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series roars into Kentucky. It's the perfect storm of danger and speed. Don't miss the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. Built Ford Tough 225. Live from Kentucky, July 18th, 6:30 Eastern. NASCAR on Speed. Be there.
Welcome back to Memphis Motorsports Park. The temperature's cooling down, but the competition on the racetrack continues to heat up, at least for Ron Hornaday. Hornaday is setting a sweltering pace again. Now it's 2.5 seconds that he's put on second.
Yeah, it's down from 98 to 93. It's a virtual cooling cold.
A cold front has gone through.
Its way through here in Memphis.
Brian Scott still holding on to the second spot, but just about a half second behind him is David Starr. We've seen a pretty good battle between this 15 and 5. Eric Almirola in front of Mike Skinner. Those two battling for the 5th position.
Saw a great battle with Eric Almirola and Matt Crafton. Matt was able to get by Eric and move out to about 2.5 seconds ahead of him. And that backed Eric up into Mike Skinner's clutches. Mike not able to get by him yet.
Eric Almirola just in front of that 5 of Mike Skinner. How they doing on the radio there, Ray?
Well, I'm hoping maybe Phil can interpret a little bit of what I've been hearing down here, because Eric Almirola said this set of tires feels squishy. Any idea what that means, Phil?
Probably just doesn't have the side bite, Ray, that he had before. He goes down in the corner instead of that truck sticking. It feels like maybe both ends of the truck want to wash up the hill, so he's going to have to check up a little bit early going in the corner, maybe not get in the corner quite as hard. He definitely doesn't have the speed that he had earlier, and right now Mike Skinner is all over the back of him. Already lost the 4th spot to Matt Crafton, but obviously Eric Almirola still having a good run, but not quite as good as he was prior to this set of tires being put on.
Looking for a top 5 finish as there are 24 laps of racing to go from Memphis Motorsports Park. Hornaday with about a 2-second lead over Brian Scott. Brian Scott actually chipping away just a bit at that lead, and then David Starr running in the 3rd position. Adam?
He's been very impressive, and the reason is because his crew chief made a great call. Jason Miller, you see him left of your screen, pitted for fuel only, lap 77, when most others stayed on track. That opened the door for tires only at lap 112, and that has put them in the door to finish in the top 5. He jumped to 5th in points last week with a top 10 run, and Starr in the midst of 6 consecutive races where he has finished in the top 11. This team on a roll.
You know, Adam, I know that's a great strategy, and David obviously has a great truck. Are they worried at all about maybe fuel? We haven't had that many caution laps, Adam, since they employed that strategy. Are they worried about it at all?
They have not said anything on the radio about being concerned about fuel mileage. Now, when he pitted at lap 77, he said they were 9 laps short. That would have been under green. We have had a caution since then. I think they feel very comfortable just based on the attitude you hear on the radio.
Technically, when they're 9 laps short, that means they need 18 laps of caution. Remember the 2-to-1 ratio. We have not had 18 laps of caution, so I think I would be a little bit concerned.
Let me ask you if you want to rethink that. Wouldn't that mean that they need 4 laps of caution? 4.5 laps would make the 9 laps of racing. Isn't it 2 laps of caution for every 1 of racing? Isn't it just the opposite?
You know, I think you might be right.
I just wanted to make sure. I mean, you said 18 laps of caution. I thought, boy, we'd need a lot of caution laps for that to work out.
Yeah, you got me on that one.
Well, Ron Hornaday is trying to get the field right now at Memphis. Welcome back to the MemphisTravel200.com, presented on Speed by Valvoline. The Longhorn Chevy Silverado of Ron Hornaday still out front.
Let's revisit this math thing a little bit.
Okay.
He's 9 laps short, right? So he needs to gain 9 laps.
Correct.
So if they run 9 laps of caution, you get 2 per lap, then that would gain them 9 laps. Is that right?
That'd gain them 18, wouldn't they?
No, that would be 9 laps they would gain. So they would need 9 laps of caution if their math holds true, not 4.5. Like you said, but certainly not 18. It's 2-to-1. Yes, they have to gain 9 laps, so they have to run 9 laps of caution to gain those 9 laps.
Right?
I'm with you, Rick. I think we got to get Phil's math fixed. But I do want to go back to what I was talking about at the top of the show. Remember I showed you that graphic in my final thought about Ron Hornaday and this team? How about chassis number 27? But coming into this race, it was 3 out of 5. And if he holds on to get this win, it would be 4 out of 6. And I think that is probably the best winning percentage of any individual truck at Kevin Harvick Racing. That's pretty impressive if you can get 4 wins after racing in 6 total events. Adam?
Remember, Ray, about 10 laps ago when Phil asked me how concerned was this 24 bunch about fuel, and I said, well, they've not talked about it on the radio. Well, it was almost as if they had heard our conversation, because not too long after that, I heard Jason Miller saying, the earlier you lift, the more fuel you will save. And from the spotter stand, David Starr continues to hear, take care of the fuel. It is very close. David Starr, 9 more laps. He's trying to hold out and record a third-place finish.
Inside the final 10 laps of racing. And again, the strategy with the 16 and the 24 were to stay on the racetrack and not put fuel in their race trucks. They came onto pit road and did the tire change, but they didn't come in and top in fuel when the rest of the field did. Guys like Ron Hornaday, he came in and did tires and fuel, so they knew he was going to make it. No questions asked. The question mark is still in the pits of the 16 and the 24.
And David Starr in the 24 truck actually came in 2 laps after Brian Scott. Brian came in on lap number 75. David came back and topped off on lap 77.
So it could be a close call as we wind down the final laps of racing here at Memphis Motorsports Park. Again, this could be the 3rd win for Ron Hornaday at this facility and the 2nd in a row. He won the Elvis Trophy a year ago in dominating fashion. He led 139 laps in that race. He has already led 167 in this race tonight.
These 2 trucks right here have been battling since we restarted. Johnny Sauter, the Fun Sand Chevrolet, the 13 and the 6 of Colin Brown, the Conway Ford. And there's the Copart Toyota of Todd Bodine that's going to join this battle. That's 8th, 9th, and 10th right here.
8th, 9th, and 10th. You can throw a blanket over the 3 trucks as they work down the front straightaway. Again, Todd Bodine and Ron Hornaday involved in the Copart Challenge of Champions. Go to Copart.com for that race. And this is a big battle right now between 8th, 9th, and 10th. A caution comes out on the racetrack. Take a look at that. That's Dennis Setzer in the 8 sliding through the infield, as well as the 81 of Taylor Malsom is stopped on the racetrack.
Wow, caution late. That 2.5 second lead that Ron Hornaday had is gone.
Now the big question, is this good or bad for the 16 and the 24? Because now we've got a green-white checkered possibility coming up if it takes a while to clean the track.
They're also, and again, we're going to have to check all the math that we've been talking about, but they're going to get some caution laps, so they're going to gain some fuel mileage on these caution laps.
So the caution comes out when we had 6 laps of racing to go. Taylor Malsom and the 8 of Dennis Setzer involved in this, the 6th caution of the day.
Pit road is open right now. I don't think we have any takers of the trucks that are on the lead lap. Dennis Setzer, who was involved in that caution, is the only truck on the lead lap, I think, coming to pit road.
So Dennis Setzer will make his way down pit road. David Starr, the big question mark, will he have fuel, as well as Brian Scott have one more shot at Ron Hornaday, who's out front. Welcome back to Memphis Motorsports Park. The field now making their way down the backstretch. We will have a green-white checker finish. We will go across the start-finish line. They will receive the green flag, and they will have 2 laps of racing to go, but that will complete our 199th lap.
Yeah, right now, if I'm going to restart this race, I want Ron Hornaday in my truck. He's got the lead. He hasn't been really challenged on the restart, and he's one of the greatest we've ever had on restarts.
Brian Scott right on his back bumper, as is David Starr behind him. Green flag back in the air. Here we go. 2 laps of racing from Memphis.
Here comes David Starr to the inside.
David Starr trying to take second away from Brian Scott. Those 3 separate themselves, and they're able to hold on to their positions through 1 and 2. Down the backstretch they go. Hornaday with Brian Scott right on his back bumper. A good race now for 4th and 5th. Matt Crafton and the 15 of Eric Almirola. Here comes the 5 of Mike Skinner. The white flag goes in the air. The battle for the lead. 2 truck links between Hornaday and the 16 of Brian Scott.
Oh,
Here comes Skinner.
Ron Almirola on the inside.
Almirola takes the position away from both Crafton and Skinner as he chases it up the racetrack. And now a clean racetrack in front of the 33. Hornaday will come to the start-finish line and win his 2nd Elvis Trophy in Memphis.
Contact there, middle of the pack. Mike Skinner, Timothy Peters made contact just before the start-finish line. Mike Skinner got the 6th spot.
Mike Skinner finishes 6th. Rick Rinn celebrates with his team. Another win. Back-to-back wins in the 2009 season and back-to-back wins here at Memphis Motorsports Park. Ron Hornaday winning his 42nd Camping World Truck Series race in 236 starts. Let's go down to the winning crew chief. He's with Ray Dunlap.
Well, we want to hear from Rick Rinn. It was a hot day today, Rick, but you guys persevered. How'd you do it?
I'll tell you what, we anticipated on the racetrack getting really hot and slick. Imagine that. Made some adjustments this morning, kind of anticipating this, and looks like we guessed the right way. Ron did an awesome job. I know it's really hot in the truck. All the drivers did an awesome job today because it's really hot out there. I just want to say thanks to the fans that came out today because it's just as hot for them as it is for us. And one other thing, a good friend of mine who I used to drive his race car passed away this week, and I just want to give condolences to Lenny Allen's family back in Illinois.
Congratulations on another win. He was rubbing his Ron Hornaday Lucky Restart coin, and it paid off.
How about that? Going to victory lane again is Ron Hornaday. A week ago, he wins on his birthday, and now the trophy that is a prized possession, he'll have 2 of them. Elvis Presley trophies, Memphis Motorsports Park. We'll hear from the winner as he makes his way to victory lane once again in the Camping World Truck Series. The NASCAR Camping World Series on Speed is presented to you by Valvoline, the only motor oil that guarantees your engine for up to 300,000 miles. Register at Valvoline.com. And by Touch of Gray from Just for Men. Ron Hornaday climbing out of the winning truck right at the start-finish line. The victory lane celebration starting early for Hornaday. Let's hear from him. He's with Ray Dunlap.
Rick, the crew is on the stage already. Hornaday has climbed out of the Longhorn Chevrolet, and in 6 races, you've won 4 times in this truck. That's pretty incredible.
Yeah, I don't know if I can take it to the next race or not, but I got to thank Kevin Delaney. They definitely got another new truck for Kansas, but especially Mark Smith. I have been thanking him. Mark Smith at PME, they've been doing a great job on these motors, and we've been running these things twice, and what they've been doing for us is a lot, and I can't say enough for them. But Longhorn Chevrolet was awesome again today. Rick Rinn made a change, and I didn't think I had nothing for Brian Scott. When he got out front right there, it was pretty tough, and once I got around him, I figured he's going to stay on my bumper for a while, and I just pulled just a little bit farther away, and then that green-white chart come, and I did everything I had, and he was hungry. All he had to do was tap me right there, but he had his hands full with them guys behind us. But Kevin Delaney, Ream, Longhorn, VFW.
I'm a little worried here. You know why? Because the Redneck's got your trophy, and I want to make sure he's not going to try to break the thing.
The last one. Can you believe that? The last Elvis Presley. We got one last year. I thought it was the last one. But this one here, this is awesome. Kevin Delaney, again, thank you. And everybody back at the shop, they've been working hard to change this truck around. I got stuck on the side of the road and have 3 days to change it and get it here to Memphis. This says a lot.
Enjoy your couple of weeks off. Ron Hornaday's got the momentum. This team is on a roll. The 33 back in victory lane here at Memphis. Adam?
And Brian Scott, I think, will enjoy a couple of weeks off as well. Exhausted after today's race, 2 weeks in a row driving with a broken wrist, and I guess today was all about fuel conservation of the late laps, Brian.
Yeah, these Toyota Tundras just get awesome fuel mileage, and you know, we make really efficient trucks. We get great fuel mileage. Toyotas get great fuel mileage, and we had a good truck. It could rotate the center. We had really good pit stops and just excellent pit strategy. Jeff can call a race really well, and you know, second. That's pretty good. I gotta thank everybody. It was a tough day. It was hot today. All the fans, Camping World. Congrats to KHI and Ron Hornaday. The best truck won, and we were second best truck. We need to go to our shop. We need to work on our stuff a little bit and get to where we can compete with them on the short tracks. But second, it was awesome. We held them off for a little bit. It was fun, and it was hot.
Solid day for Brian Scott.
I think his last words may have been an understatement. It was hot. Well, let's take a look at tonight's Advance Auto Parts save of the race.
This is on the last lap of the race right here, going in turn number 1. Matt Crafton on the inside, Mike Skinner on the outside. They make contact. Skinner does a great job saving that truck and continues to battle. It looks like Timothy Peters may be able to pass him down the backstretch, but Mike Skinner was able to get back by Timothy coming off turn number 4.
The save of the race was brought to you by Advance Auto Parts. Keep the wheels turning. A familiar sight back in victory lane again. This is the 4th win for Kevin Harvick Incorporated 2009 season. Welcome back to the MemphisTravel200.com. Presented on speed by Valvoline. Memphis Motorsports Park was the site of tonight's race. It went 201 laps, and it was Ron Hornaday out front. Let's take a look at tonight's Stay in the Game with Just for Men hair color moment.
Taylor Malsom had some serious problems with the front master cylinder. Right before qualifying, they were able to make hasty repairs, get him out to qualify. Had to go to the back of the pack, was making some good moves early, had some great pit strategy, worked his way back up into the top 10, and then very late had some contact with Dennis Setzer, end up finishing in the 16th position.
Stay in the game with Just for Men hair color. Take a look at our point standings. Through this, the 11th race of the 2009 season. 76 points separating the top 2, Hornaday and Crafton. Skinner moves up a spot.
Remember, we had 4 drivers within 90 points coming into this race. Ron Hornaday, by virtue of his dominating performances, opened the gap up a little bit. Now got 134 points on 3rd place Mike Skinner.
Another impressive performance for Brian Scott that moves him up a spot into the 6th place position. Take a look at our Copart Challenge points. Again, Hornaday and Bodine battling it out in that Challenge of Champions.
How about that? Todd Bodine. Right. Hornaday does not get any points this race because he was not sponsored by Copart. So right now, Todd Bodine, 299 points to Ron Hornaday's 195. But I'm sure Ron Hornaday will make up that difference when he's sponsored by Copart.
Oh, yeah. Now let's go down to our 3rd place finisher. David Starr is with Adam Alexander.
3rd top 5 finish of the year for this guy, David Starr, and you had to earn this one. The heat, battling the fuel gauge at the end of that race. Talk about your afternoon, David. A solid top 3 finish.
Well, first of all, I want to say hi to my wife, my son, David Starr Jr., back at home. And I tell you, at Zachary, it takes a force, a collaborative force, and Jim Harris, HT Motorsports team, we don't ever give up. And we haven't had to battle back from the back. We had to pull a spring rubber out of the left rear, and it seemed like we lost 10 or 12 spots and went to the back, and we're making our way back up to the front, and then the truck started overheating. We had to pit again, take some tape off the nose of the truck. But I tell you, Jason Miller, my crew chief, and Matt Faulkner, my engineer, who's not going to be with us anymore, Bobby Jones, Curtis Martin, us, everybody on the HT Motorsports team, they just don't, they fight to the end, and that's the testament of today's race. I was trying to get up there and race with the 16 truck and got close to him, and I'd try a little bit hard and I'd mess up, and they say save some fuel, and we gave it all we had. We just didn't have the best truck today, but our Zachary Toyota Tundra was pretty awesome. We'll take 3rd.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
3rd place finish for David Starr. As we look at our unofficial results, Hornaday, another win. Brian Scott, an impressive 2nd place finish.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to mention Ron Hornaday's general manager and spotter, Rick Corelli, will make the trip out to the West Coast next week. He will be inducted in the West Coast Racing Hall of Fame. Some very exclusive company out there, and a very deserving guy in Rick Corelli.
Timothy Peters with another top 10 finish. Rick Crawford searching for that Elvis trophy. Well, the search will have to continue as he finishes 11th today. Brian Eichler had some issues on the track. He finishes 12th. Terry Cook, who started up on the front row, we thought was very strong today, and he fell back out of the top 10.
Good top 15 finish for Ricky Carmichael. Get that number 4 truck back on track. Good, ran all the laps, finished on the lead lap. Good job by Ricky and his guys.
A long, warm day for this field of 36, qualifying earlier this afternoon, and then on to the racetrack for 200, and it ended up being 201 laps of racing. So a long, warm day for quite a few drivers, and the one celebrating at the end is Ron Hornaday. Hornaday won from the pole for the 7th time in his career. It's the 9th time when he has started in the 1st position that he has been to victory lane.
You know, you mentioned Ron Hornaday won last week on his birthday, and guess what? He won a week after his birthday this week.
Next, it's the Built Ford Tough 225 for the Camping World Truck Series. That will be Kentucky Speedway, Saturday, July 18th. So a couple weeks off for the trucks. until they get back into action. That starts off with the setup at 6:30 p.m. with Chris Devoto.
Great facility for a racetrack. Kentucky Speedway always have a great crowd there. Ron Hornaday, I'm telling you, at 51 years old, he doesn't look too bad after this hot afternoon.
Impressive. Probably lost a couple pounds in the truck. We saw the world's strongest redneck there helping him out on victory lane. Well, it was an impressive show put on by Ron Hornaday today. We do want to offer our condolences to Tom Swindell. Lost his mother earlier this week, so our thoughts, prayers, and condolences going out to him. I don't know if you needed a grill here at Memphis Motorsports Park to cook any food. It was as hot as an oven when the green flag flew, just almost 100 degrees when they got the green flag. The heat was turned up by Ron Hornaday on the racetrack. A few had issues, but there were no issues. Once Hornaday got out front, he was out front for good. Coming up next, it's NASCAR Smarts, and then stay tuned. It is Speed, the NASCAR Performance Show from Loudon, where they'll discuss Tony Stewart's wild ride to his backup car.